Simple science. What are solids and liquids? Solids keep their shape, and you can hold them. But liquids are runny and take the shape of the container they are in. So the chocolate, butter, candle wax, and metal are all solids. And the water, oil, syrup, and shampoo are all liquids. What about salt and sand? You can pour salt just like you can pour water. And you can use a sieve to separate both sand and water from other solids. In some ways, powders made up of very fine particles of solid behave like liquids. But each small piece of sand or crystal of salt is still a solid. What happens when you hold a piece of chocolate in your hand? It starts to melt, becoming runny. The same thing happens when you leave butter sitting in the sun. And wax will melt and run down the side of a candle when you light it. So solids can change into liquids when they are warmed or heated. Also, when you cool liquid water down to below 0 degrees Celsius, it freezes into solid ice. In general, liquids can be changed into solids by cooling them down. You can change the ice back into liquid water by simply heating it up to above 0, so that it melts again. Melting and freezing or solidifying are changes that can be reversed. This means that many materials, such as chocolate, butter, wax, water, and even metal, can exist as solids or liquids, depending on the temperature. In the case of metal, it needs to be heated to a very high temperature before it melts into liquid or molten metal. If you have a mixture of solids with different sized particles, for example a mixture of sand and stones, you can separate them by using a sieve. The small particles of sand go through the holes in the mesh of the sieve, while the stones are too large to go through the holes and are left behind. When you mix sand with water, you can use a similar method to separate the solid and liquid. Both water and sand can get through the holes in the sieve, so you need to use a filter that has much smaller holes. In filtering, the water can go through the holes in the filter, but the sand is left behind, because the particles of water are much smaller than the particles of sand. When you mix some solids, such as salt or sugar, with water, they dissolve to form a liquid solution. A salt solution tastes salty, and a sugar solution tastes sweet, so even though you can't see the salt or sugar, you can tell that they are still there. After the sugar or salt have dissolved in water, they can no longer be separated by filtering, because the dissolved particles of solid are now so small they will pass through the holes in the filter along with the water.